Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to this video with our client Jadyn. Now, I've known Jadyn for quite a while. I think he started a fair while ago and he's gone from strength to strength. So welcome, Jadyn. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well. Now, Jadyn's in a lot of our promos, going to Bali, living the lifestyle in Bali and all that kind of jazz. But it's taken Jadyn a bit of a journey, different stages to get there. So I'd love to see and just kind of paint the picture. So what I have a quick question, Jadyn. What did you do before you did your agency?
I was working in hospitality. So I was behind bars, pouring drinks, making coffees. The time I just started my agency, I was running a bar. It was like sort of the height of probably the best job I could have got at my age in the hospitality world. Yeah.
How old were you? How old were you then when you were at that job?
22. 22.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
And how long ago was that?
That must have been, oh no, maybe I was 21 turning 22. I turned 22 there. It must have been like a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago now. Maybe something like that.
Okay, interesting. So what made you want to quit the 9 to 5, so to speak, and yeah, go all in on the agency model?
Yeah, so I at one stage in between like two hospo jobs before I landed that big one, I started doing. I had an old mentor, and I'd done some appointment setting for him, and sort of saw that the ads being run, and then leads coming in, and how he structured his sales team, and yeah, just I used to make a lot of content, and I sort of saw that people struggled with social media content, and then saw people struggled with ads, and started to just ask people in my community, like, hey, do you want me to run your social media page and make some content? And just little things that sort of just led from one person wanting a job, and then someone else wanting a job, and someone wanting a website builder. And naturally, I was just like, okay, there's actually some money here. So sort of didn't really take it too seriously in the first like 6 months. I was just doing jobs outside of hospo work and that sort of stuff. And I think it just got to a point where one of my friends started doing like quite well and started taking it really seriously. And I was like, oh, maybe I could probably do the same. So it's when I started, looking into YouTube videos and started seeing how the business model actually structured and all those kind of things. So, yeah.
And how did you come across us?
I saw an ad. It was actually an ad of you walking down the street somewhere. And I remember at the time I didn't have much money, but I knew I needed help. So your offer at the time was, we'll pay for your ads. And I was like, shit. I was like, that's a really good offer. I was like, if I give you guys the money, you run my ads. I was like, sweet. Had a call with you guys then. So,
And so what was your situation prior to working with us?
yeah, it was tough. I'd gotten really lucky and got like this business startup grant with a startup company here. And they were pretty much willing to support me for like 6 months. It's like not that much money, but enough to sort of help you get started and cover some marketing costs. And so like that was the only thing that I had going for me. I had a business plan, and I was just cold calling people, and not really. I was booking in some appointments, but it was just really, my offer was terrible. And like finally, when I'd get a sale call booked, they'd like no show, and I couldn't close them, and just the kind of problems you have when you start. So I was probably doing like 1 or 2K a month if the client paid, if I was lucky. So I just moved into a new house. I was a little bit stressed about money and like just really trying to figure it out. So when your ad came along, I was like, okay, finally a chance where I can have some help, have some support, and actually do it properly rather than wasting my money just trying to make stuff work.
Interesting. And I've got this little screenshot here I'm going to put up where you got 20K in sales after joining our program and implementing some of the systems. So what was it like after working with us?
Yeah, I remember that was in like the first 2 months that I started working with you, and we tweaked the ads. We put ads up, tweaked them. You guys helped me tweak my offer, and I was just getting heaps of sale calls and people wanting to actually do work with me. And I was like, this is insane. I've never had this before. Like I wake up and I've got sale calls booked. I'm like, sweet. So when I made that money that over that month or two, that really like shifted my whole perception. I was like, okay, this is the system. This is how it can be done. How far can I take this? Can I do this the next month? Like it just changed everything for me. Like, going off just hope for like a year to 6 months to a year of just hope. Like I hope this is going to work is tough. And a lot of people don't make it through that. And, luckily I did with your guys' help, and it put that into hope to like, okay, this is actually a reality that I can live now rather than I hope it works out,
Interesting. And what advice would you give someone who's looking to get going online, they're wanting to get support, and they're struggling to know who to trust? Like there's a lot of kind of random businesses out there, and people kind of that have done, agency for a little bit, not very long, and they're saying, hey, we can help you. What advice would you give to someone who's kind of like on the fence and going, I know I need to make a change, and I know I need to get support, and I know I need to kind of go to the next level, but they have that little bit of fear, that little bit of skepticism? What would you say to that person?
Yeah, I think there's like a two-part answer to that. One would be like, before you go out and trust anyone, you have to trust yourself, in the sense of you have to be willing to go all in on your goals and your dreams, and like you have to commit first. You can't just like go and like hit someone up and be like, sort my problems out. It's like, no, you have to show up, you have to commit, you have to put the time in. And if you trust yourself enough to go all the way in, and then you're like, okay, how can I make this process simpler, faster, quicker? How can I make more money in shorter amount of times? Then obviously you go out, find someone like yourself to get in the corner. And I mean, like the biggest thing for me was just, I gelled with you guys like pretty quickly. Like I think I had one call and I was like, yeah, I'm in. I'd spoken to a lot of people, and you guys had everything that I needed, in the sense of like, I can learn at my own pace with videos, because I just wanted to smash through stuff. And then the coaching calls to help me tweak the things that I didn't quite know, or I had an idea, but it just needed a shift. And then it's like, sweet, I'm all go. I think you guys had like an undeniable amount of proof. And like I sort of say this to clients when I work with them now. It's like, if you on your website, on your socials, running ads with testimonials, if you can just prove with an undeniable amount that you can do the thing, then like, what are people going to say? So if you trust yourself, and then someone like, yourself shows that proof, it's like, what are you waiting for? There's not, like, if you're not going to do it now, just stop the business and go and get your job, or just go all in. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, because ultimately, to get the business up to the level where you want it to get to, you can't kind of half foot it. Like you can't do it a little bit. Like you have to go all in, burn the bridges, and you can't risk a little bit. You have to kind of like throw yourself into it, because like it won't work otherwise, because there's too much to tackle. There's too much to kind of problem solve. It's not something that you can half-heartedly do.
Yeah, and there's sacrifices that you have to make, and if you're not willing to sacrifice the things because you're not all in, then you're not going to get the result, because you're going to go and choose to go and hang out with friends, or spend that extra time with family, or whatever it is that you do. And at the infancy stage of business, it's like it needs all of you, because you are the business essentially.
That's so true. So interestingly, your journey was like 1 to 2K, and then in January you hit 60K in revenue. That's a journey, and there's a lot of steps along the way. And I think a lot of people, when they start the agency, it's very easy to get sidetracked with different shiny objects and different strategies. And I'm going to do this, and do I need to have go high level? Lots of questions about go high level, and what about a contract? Should I do pay per lead? What about this? What's my niche? I think what I'm saying is there's a lot of different distractions, and
Mm,
those things are important. Don't get me wrong, but if you were to boil down like what are the most like maybe 2 to 3 most important things that you do need to focus on to get the agency to the next level, is it getting a Go High level subscription? Is it getting an appointment setter from Fiverr? Is it I need to, I don't know, make a really, really good logo? What
mm.
is it? What are the 2 to 3 things that you would focus on?
Yeah, just ads and sales and delivery of that service. Like if you can get ads up, you don't need a logo, you don't need a website, you don't need to go high level, you don't need anything. You just need to have ads that are generating leads. As soon
Yep.
as you're generating leads, you can get on the phone with them. And if you can
Mm,
get them on the phone, you can build trust, you can build a relationship with them, you can find out their problems and then solve their problems based on personalized strategies that you can give to that individual on the call. And
mm,
if it's valuable enough and it's a big enough problem and a big enough pain to solve, then they're going to sign up. And then you've got a client. You don't need a logo, you don't need a website. Sure, those things help. And yes, like you could probably put some time aside for them. But like in reality, like you can start, we've worked with clients and that they don't even have their stuff together and they're just trying to figure out if the offer is going to land, and we'll just run some ads and the next minute they're making sales. And so okay, like compare that to a massive company that's like trying to get all their ducks in a row and all these things, and it's like you just don't need that instantly. So ads, sales, and then once you've got that person, repeat the same process, run the ads for them. Like if ads is your service for your agency, you're just repeating the same thing you're already doing. So you're just rinsing and repeating ads and sales like over and over again. I think those would probably be the most important things I would say.
yeah, makes sense. And I think that when you do ads and sales, you actually develop the correct skill sets that you need to get to the
Mm,
next level. Because I think
mm.
what people do is they try and compensate a lack of skill by spending a lot of time on the
I did
other
that.
stuff.
I did that.
Like
Mm,
if like I'm not good at sales, maybe I just really I'm going to be the guy that's going to have like the best website,
yeah.
or I'm going to be the guy that's like going to have like a fully 145 step automation. So like every call shows up.
Mm,
I think those are the mistakes. Instead of just going, you need to go basics. So the fundamentals, the key. So learning to set appointments, learning to run an ad that works, learning to close is a big deal.
mm.
Because a lot of people come into the agency and they'll message in the group, "Hey, I got an amazing call. He said he'll think about it and he's going to get back to me." And you kind of go, "Well, we'll see how that works out." Um, and yeah, so what was some interesting things that you kind of discovered along the way with like sales, and like how do you look at like offers and sales, and how have you kind of improved that process?
Yeah, I've ran heaps of different offers now. Yeah, I think some of the best sales training that I've had has definitely been from you, and we've been going through calls, and you're like, "Why did you say that there?" I'm like, "I don't even know why I said that there. I was just nervous or something." So I think a lot of it is just like repetition of
Yeah.
sale call and reviewing it, and if it didn't go well, why, and if it did go well, why, and just reviewing and just like rinsing and repeating that like over and over and over and over again until you get yeses and until you get consistent yeses. But I mean, the things that have worked.
Did you say consistent yeses or consistent yeses?
The ongoing.
Sorry, New Zealanders. I'm sorry. Your
um,
friend in the fridge. Do you remember that ad or not? There used to be this ad, your
friend in
friend
the
in the
fridge.
fridge.
No, I don't know what that
Okay,
is.
it's all good.
Yeah, I think with offers, it's just like, there's just there's the big hype for a while around just like 16 leads or you don't pay, and it's like, cool. Like I was stuck on that for like, I'm just gonna give these risk reversals, and why would they say no?
Yep.
And like that works to a degree, but what works stronger than that, and what has worked I think, in every business ever since business has been a thing, is just giving people exactly what they want. Like finding out their problem and then just packaging that in the best way that you possibly can. Not having to try do all these fancy things. And yeah, sometimes like an angle would work, and sometimes you got to shift and try and change different things. But I think at the core, if you're genuinely transparent and honest about helping them solve their problem, and it's said in the right way, you don't need so many fancy bits and bobs. Like it's pretty basic if you boil it down to that. And you can add things over time as you get better and you add things to your service or whatever. But I think at a fundamental level, it's just give people what they want to people that have money and want to solve the problem. And sales is easier when you're doing that. You don't have to hard sell or hard objection handle because they just want it.
Correct. I think the big trend, and I was part of that trend because it worked really well like 2 years ago, is like having a big offer. And ultimately, I think what's better than having a big offer and a big promise is there's other ways to do it. And so there's other ways that don't put you under so much pressure. Because ultimately, one risk that you can do is make yourself one issue you can do is say, we do this, we will do all this for you. But then you realize that business owner isn't really capable of even getting that result. And so like you can do as much as you can, but you can only lead a horse to water. And so your offer should really only be leading a horse to water, because you literally cannot force the horse to drink. And I think that's actually really good advice. Like find out what they want, make sure that they've got money to pay for it, and then literally just package that up in the best way. And that makes it simple. And I think that's so key is people try and create an offer without talking to the market. They're like, people ask me, hey, Henry, what do you think about this? And I'll give good advice because I've seen lots of offers and I know what works, because I've seen like run hundreds of offers on ads and I've seen the response that different offers get for different industries. But at some point I would always go, have you spoken to your market? Like, what do they care about? What are the biggest problems that they have? So like a big one for real estate, for example, is they hate doing calls, but they want leads. So what does that mean you should offer them? Leads and calls, because that's like what they want. But yeah, and you'd only know that. How do you know that?
Yeah, you just call businesses. Like if you call someone and be like, hey, I'm a new business owner and I want to get started in business and I really want to try and help some people here. Can I just ask you a couple questions? People are pretty open to. You might have to call a few people, but that knowledge is invaluable. Like worth more than testing $1,000 or $2,000 on ads that month. You could just get that with a few phone calls, and if you set a Saturday or a Friday aside or whatever and call them while they're all happy and ready for the weekend, you can get pickups, you can get conversations. It's easy, really.
Yeah, and I think if you just adopt the mindset of like, I don't need to get anything out of this call. If this call doesn't turn into anything, it's fine. At least it's giving me face time with the market. Because I think people build up this like, oh my God, like this is it. Like this is my time. This is my moment. But the fact is, like, it won't work like that. Like you just need to have some conversations. And actually, the more relaxed you are about the conversations, it'll be better, because they're like, oh, this is a really cool guy. But if you're like sweating, like, 30 cold calls, like I'm going to do, raw dog it, 30 cold calls. Like, it doesn't work like that. It's stupid. It's just got to, like, you can do way more calls, like hundreds of calls if you just relaxed.
Yeah. I remember I did my first cold call and I choked so hard. It was the worst call of my life. Like I wished I recorded it. It was hilarious, like looking back on it. But the next call was easier, and then the next call was even easier. And then now I can just pick up a phone while I'm walking, having a coffee, and I can get like calls. But like it's so easy now. But that's only because I've been doing it for a while now.
And that's a really good point too. Is a big part of this process is so I know people don't like, people don't like Aman Ghazi and gurus and stuff like that. And I understand that to a degree. I don't like all the lifestyle marketing and all that type of stuff. But I'll tell you what, I got into this space because of those types of people. And I think it's good because like it encourages people, like you can start a business, like you can actually do what you want to do. Like in my perspective, if universities who teach out pretty much outdated material, and that's not to say some courses are bad, some courses are really good, but they get funded by the government here in Australia, and so they don't really have to market themselves too hard or whatever. But if someone's like offering to help you set up a business, they're like, "Oh my god, how dare he do that? How dare he show people how to start an agency? How dare he show?" And it's like, dude, like it's actually the agency space is like one of the simplest business models, really. And I think if you approach it like this business model works because it's so basic, it's like, do business. Let's answer a few questions. Do businesses want to grow? Let me think. Yes, they do. And so if you can help them grow, do you think they would want to work with you? Yeah, they would. But then what's the gap between where you are now and where you want to be? Is usually there's just a couple of skill sets that you need to learn that actually don't take that long. Like a really good mindset shift that I think will help people is I used to say to people, I'm a surfer. And they'd be like, oh, you're a surfer. Cool. And then I thought, well, am I really a surfer though? Because really, I only surfed once a year. And that's not really a surfer. And so I stopped. So when people say, do you surf? I say, yeah, I surf. But really, I've only surfed once a year for the past few years. And so most people are like that with their skills. They're like, yeah, I know how to do sales. And it's like, well, when was the last time you did a sales call? Oh, actually, yeah, it was like 5 years ago. But the thing is, the point I'm making is if you practice the skill in a condensed period of time intensively, like I remember there was a moment in 2021 where I was getting lots of book calls from my ads for my agency at the time. And I just couldn't close the deal. Like I had like 15 calls and it was like, no, think about it. No, think about it. No, think about it. No, I was like, what is going on? And this is a really, really important skill is if you have a problem in your business, what you should do is actually annihilate that problem. Like don't do anything else. Just like dedicate every waking hour you can physically do to solving that problem. So what did I do? I bought books on like how to close. I literally paid the CMO of 7th Level by Jeremy Miner to sit down with me for 4 calls. That cost me 4,000 USD. Was it a scam? Did I get scammed for 4,000 USD? No, because you pay people to show you how to do these skills. And like I'm paying someone who's like the highest, like an industry leader. And so after that, guess what happened? What do you think happened?
So I've seen the result of that. You're the man at closing. If I've got any sales questions, I'll come to you. You're close. I bet you probably closed a shitload of calls after.
Yeah, I just closed a lot of calls, and that was because I was willing to solve a problem. And you're the same. Like if you have a problem, like it's like I need to solve the show rate, or I need to solve this, and business is all about problems. So it's about solving problems. So what am I trying to say here? What I'm trying to say is if you have an issue in your business, don't try and distract yourself from it. Literally just focus on that one problem and overcompensate until it's gone, until it's completely gone. And then you have another problem to solve.
Yeah.
Which is how it works. And so, yeah, that makes complete sense. So, man, what do you feel for you were some of the biggest kind of skills or learning lessons that you had along the journey that you feel made it quite a significant shift in your agency?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things was understanding the metrics of a business and understanding that there's like marketing metrics and there's sales metrics and there's operation metrics, and every single business has these metrics. So I feel like that's like a principle guiding, like thing that you can look at, and you can audit any business based on their metrics. You can audit your own business. And to the point that you were saying, go all in on solving the problem. If you know your metrics, how many leads you're getting, the cost, the show rate to your leads, how many closes that's got. You know that it costs you $300 to acquire a client. And if you know that, if you spend $600, you get 2 clients. And you've now got this system and this way to track your business. So one, you can identify where the gap is. Like you said, if it's sales, I go all in, you solve that problem for a week or 2 or 3 weeks. And now the rest of the metrics flow. You get more sales, you get more operation metrics, and it just goes on and on and on. And you know what problems to solve. So you know what your focus point should be. And when you get on sale calls, you can ask your clients what their metrics are for their marketing and their sales, and you can identify their problem and tailor a plan based on how to solve it. And I think that is like the biggest aha moment for me. I actually remember the training. Remember the training you took us through on that, and everything shifted for me after I had to sit on that for a minute and really think that through and watch the training back. And that was massive. That was really big for me.
Yeah, that's so true, man. Because when you have clarity on your business, then you know what to work on. And the way that you get clarity on your business is you look at the numbers, because the numbers tell a story that you can't spin.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's a bit low. And that's the thing. I'm religiously looking at my spreadsheets because that's the engine of the business. And if some people want some good books to read on that, there's a really good book called High Performance Habits by a guy called Brendon Burchard, which is on clarity is the most important thing. There's another book called The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham, which is a really, really good book. And in that book, he talks about a concept called thinking time, which is actually thinking through your business, where it's at, and what are the things that we need to work on. And then another really good book is called Traction by a guy called Gino Wickman. And that is how to run your business by the numbers. Yeah. How are you going for time, man? Have you got a little bit of time left, 5-10 minutes, or you got to hop off soon?
No, I'm all good. I've got a pretty chill day today, so got some time.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I think another good question that would be helpful for people is what were the kind of biggest shifts that got you to that 60K month? What if you look back and think, what was the 1 or 2 things that enabled you to do that? And what I'll say is this, I'll preface it with this, is that business is a constant ebb and flow. There'll be months where you go up and then it will kind of come down a little bit, and you kind of reconsolidate your processes and systems. And then there's always a growth and consolidation period in businesses, because when you grow, you have to build more out of a team. And then if the team's weak and if the team falls apart, you might have to go back down, which I think is good for people to really understand. This is not, because the market that we talk to a lot, they're thinking, should I do I don't know if you've heard of Nagic, which is they sell water filters to people, or they do affiliate marketing where they post on social media, and these things are not really real businesses. And what I'm trying to say with this is this is a real business. So with that in mind, what were the 2 kind of biggest shifts that enabled you to get to that 60K, and what's your reflection on that process?
Yeah, I think the big shift was, I think in the couple months before January, I was just trying to figure out, okay, why am I struggling to scale right now? And one of them was, I can't do everything myself. I've only got X amount of hours in a day, and I've still got to try and get to the gym, and I've got to make dinner, and all these sort of things. And even if I outsource those, I still can only do so much. So biggest thing for me was hiring a team. I started real small, just with one media buyer. He was handling all the service delivery. That wasn't my forte. I could do it, sure, but it'd be better because I could probably get on the phones a lot better than hiring a closer. So that was cool. I hired him, and then got another media buyer in, and then my media buyer was managing him. So I had that service delivery outsourced completely. That was unreal. I could just pump calls. and that's all that I did. Because
Yeah.
that was the thing that was getting us new money in. And they were pretty good, so they handled it. And I knew how to keep them accountable and keep them on track. So that was the biggest shift for me. I was so afraid to bringing in a team. But everyone's got this preconceived idea as, okay, if I hire a team, I have to pay them $5,000 or $8,000 a month. And, you don't actually have to do that. People are pretty open. Contractors, whether they're salespeople or marketing people, are open to working multiple jobs. And they can just work on the stuff that you give them. You can pay them per account. You can pay them on a percentage of a close, whatever it is. Like, you don't have to pay someone a set fee. So you can work around building a team without really having too much money, so you can scale sustainably, which I think is the key. Because if you get too overloaded, then it's just a nightmare. And then you're just putting out fires there front and center. And that's hard when you're spending money to get, like, that's not a thing that I wanted to do. So hiring was one. And I think for me, more recently, I've learned this, and I sort of knew it, but didn't really know how to apply it, was like partnerships. So I think both of them have been people. You can partner with, if you're a sales guy or you're a marketing guy, or you just know how to build systems, or you know how to talk to people, or whatever it is, and you're lacking this other essential skill or essential part of the business, just you can go and find someone that can do that for you. Like, for me, a big one for me is like, okay, like, we can scale, we can get some jobs in. I have no connects though, and like, I have an ad budget and I have some money to spend, but it's not massive. One of my old mentors like taught me this thing. He's like, in business, if you've got time, money, and knowledge, if you've got all three of those things, you're probably a millionaire. You're probably a multi-millionaire. You know what to do. You've got the time to do it and the money to do it. You can do anything. Everyone else, though, will have, people working a job 9 to 5 probably don't have a lot of time, but might have a bit of money. People that are working part-time might not have a lot of money, but might have a lot of time. And you can sort of partner with these people that have the yin and yang of what you need, and together you can build and scale something up. So I think between partnering with the people that have what you need and hiring the other people that, you can just hire, I think you can build a team, and then you can build your own ecosystem and your own people to bounce ideas off and your own things. And then you can scale together. Got each other's back. You call each other out on your bullshit. No, you have to do this. You told me you'd do that. All of those things. So I think if you find the right people and build the right team, you can do whatever you want, essentially.
And that is spot on, because that's what we're teaching people right now with the growth partner model, which is like, don't try and do everything at once when you start. Like, what we teach people is get a service delivery partner straight away, so that you can focus on the most important thing, which is front end customer generation or client acquisition. So growth partner model, check it out, guys. But yeah, that's really good advice. And I think that's where the online business, like, if you build an online business, there's so many different ways you can do it, because like, there's so much flexibility. And if there's something you don't enjoy doing, you can outsource that. If there's something, so let's say you don't like sales, you can outsource sales to somebody who's like, their pure focus is that. Because actually, what I reckon, this is my belief, there's 5 key pieces to building an agency. There's lead gen, there's appointment setting, there's sales, there's client delivery, and then there's client communications. And then there's like systems and structure, but that's not like a key piece.
Yeah.
So if you break it down in those 5 pieces and you go, well, I like doing the lead gen, I don't like the appointment setting, I like the sales, I like the client delivery, I don't like client communications, whatever, however you want to break it down, you can just outsource it and then just give a percentage away of that, which makes so much sense. It's so much easier to do that.
Yeah.
Now, I have a really important question. What do you look for when you're wanting to get somebody you can trust that's not going to run away or do something crazy or whatever? What is your kind of like criteria?
I just like to Yeah, I like to talk to people. I feel like I can usually get a pretty good idea and feel for a person. I go with feelings. Um, so
I
like,
got feelings, bro.
some of my clients will reach out and be like, "Hey, we're thinking about hiring this person. You want to come jump on a call and check them out?" And I get on them and I'll like drill them with questions, and I'll be like, because something seems off, and I'll ask them, and I want clarity. Like, are you gonna give me the right answers here? You're gonna say like, if some clients have said that I've got trust issues because I just don't trust some of these people that are out there. So like, I'm like sort of skeptical, and I don't just go all in and trust someone. But usually if I can have a conversation with someone and they're transparent and they're honest, and they do what they say they can do, and they can demonstrate that to me, or they can speak to me how or what they've done, or along those sort of lines, and I feel right about them, and they give me a good gut feeling, that I'm willing to take a risk. And like, everyone has to at some stage, right? So that hasn't always worked out, but 9 times out of 10 it has. So I don't know if that's that's what I do.
Yeah, that's good advice. And I would say your feelers, like your spidey senses, will tingle if you're I think one thing that's really important when you're doing your business is to have focus and clarity throughout the day. So if you're stressed or you're distracted, you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do is run around distracted with no clarity, especially when dealing with people.
Yeah.
Because you say the wrong thing and then you have to apologize, or you hire the wrong person and you're just like, what am I doing? So one thing is to try and be like a monk during the day, which is like you're present and you're focused and you're not like thinking about something else as much as you can. But in addition to that as well, I think if you look at when you hire somebody, it's actually, I came up with this myself. It's amazing how business is actually just like common sense discovered. It's actually so straightforward, but you just don't think it is. So like for me, I know that a business, like hiring a good person, I look at 3 things. The first thing is like, are they reliable? So, and I use this example, which is like, if you have a Cristiano Ronaldo on your team, but he never shows up, he's worth 0. So it's like, you can have the best person on your team, but if they don't show up, then it's like pointless.
Yeah.
So the first thing is like, are they reliable? The second thing is their attitude. Do they have like a stinky attitude, like they're backbiting or making sarcastic comments, or like they think they think they're too good, or they think they're doing you a favor? So you actually worked with us for about 9 months. Jadyn was on our team for 9 months, and Jadyn had like the best attitude. Like, I don't think there was a single moment where I could sniff any kind of weirdness. And I've had people that were weird before. Like, if you feel like there's some kind of funky stuff going on, you have to address it directly. So the attitude thing, so like reliability, attitude, and if those 2 things are good, like they're reliable, they do what they say they'll do, there's no attitude issue. And then the last thing is skill. And this is a funny one, because like I had someone who was really reliable. They had the best attitude, like the best person, but like they just did not have the skill needed for the role. And it was more like a technical thing. Like they just weren't able to do certain things. And so if you balance all of those things together, attitude, reliability, and skill, that's like the best. That's like the best things you can hope for. If you really think about it, there's like maybe a couple of extra things like communication and then stuff like that. But those 3 things comprise the bulk of a good person that you can hire.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's funny that you say that. I think those things were all happening inside my head, and I think I learned that working with you, because we'd have so many people come through the doors, and like I'm on the phones talking to these guys, and it got to a point where I think you and I would be like, we would just know what clients are going to do well, and what clients aren't going to do well based on their attitude, like literally.
Yeah,
and we could be
yeah.
like, hey, he's going to be gone in 6 months. And then the other guys that aren't like that were like, yeah, he's good. And like all of that's exactly happened. All of the clients that we were skeptical about have left and like dropped it and didn't hold it. And then everyone else, they're making money, they're living a good life, they're looking after their family. Like it's so simple, but so important.
Yeah, and it's literally attitude just comes down to making a commitment. Am I going to do this? And then am I going to be a good person? Am I going to like really, really do this? And if you just tick the box, yes, 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 and stick with it, you get there. Like it's not complex or rocket science. Okay, that makes sense. So what are some really tactical things that you think an agency owner who's like, or actually, no, what are some tactical things that you think somebody who's in a 9 to 5, because when you're transitioning out of a 9 to 5, it's like you have to, like, you got to make things work. Like, oh, I got to do like a video, like I got to do some learning before I start work. Like I've got to like listen to the trainings on the way to work, and I've got to like save a little bit of budget for ad spend. This like all, do you know what I mean? Like there's really like actually getting the transitioning's never going to be like the perfect like step by step like sorry, like there's step by step processes, but you're going to have to like just kind of like do what you got to do is kind of the thing. So what are some kind of things that helped you like really break out of, because like you're doing this full time now, dude. Like you traveled to Bali, you're living in a different place now, you're not working full time, like you're doing this for good. And when you started with us, you're at like 1K, and now you're at 60K plus in January, and you kind of been building since then. So what do you think was the biggest things that helped you get out of that, get out of the rat race?
I think everyone's like situation specifically is obviously like a little bit different. I think what like worked like for me was I couldn't, like for the first like year before like the story that I started like here, I would just like be in and out, and I would come in and then dabble and then leave. And then like every single time I came back to work, I'm like, okay, I've just rinsed all the money I saved, and I've just taken that course and whatever, and I'd say all these excuses or whatever it is, and I just get over it, and I'm feeling burnt out or whatever. And I go back to work, like, what am I doing here? Like, what am I actually doing here? Like, I start to try and solve all these problems and use all this like energy that I have inside of me to like solve problems at work. And I'm working with a team that don't want to they don't want to do it, and they're lazy and they don't show up on time. And then that just grinds my gears. And I'm like, what is this environment that I'm in? Like, this is not going to help me make more money or live the life I want. So I was pissed off. I was like, what am I doing here? Like, I didn't want to live the life of like being stuck in a town with a job with people that I do not like. I could not think of anything worse than that. And I think that is what's pushed me along this whole time is, like people like either move towards pleasure or away from pain, and me moving away from pain. Like, yeah, sure, I like had an idea on a better life that I wanted, but you never really know what life's going to look out. But I just knew it wasn't that. And I was like, I'm out of here. So every waking hour that I had, I would be working on figuring out how to get out and writing up a plan and testing shit out, and then it not working, and then going back to the drawing board and trying again. I just didn't stop until I found. And the biggest breakthroughs was always when I had a coach, like every single time, because they were pointing out things that I didn't even know existed, or two, like a pothole that I was about to stand into. They're like, nope, don't stand in there, like go over there. I'm like, oh, thank God that you said that. So like, I think just doing whatever it takes, and like, that means that's going to mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. If it's like get rid of your distractions and just spend all of your time that you have and that you can put aside to just making it work no matter what, then like, why wouldn't it work? Why wouldn't it? I think those are more mindset like points of view, and then like actionable steps that you take.
Well, actually, I just want to mention something there. So lot of people go, oh, why do you need a coach? Like all the information's on YouTube. There's a reason we have teachers in the school system. There's a reason we have golf instructors, because you're not going to be able to see your golf swing on your own. You need someone that has experience to look at what you're doing and actually give you advice based on what they see, because they've already been there. And that's actually been the same experience. So I remember when I had my first mentor, end of 2018, and it was like 10 grand Australian to work with him. And it was like, I got one-to-one call with him, or 2 one-to-one calls with him, and a course and group calls that I couldn't attend because it was like US time zone. And you're laughing one-to-one call with him, but it was the best because like he gave me, like, the thing is, I think people, when they do these things, they want the person to be their savior, or they want them to do everything for them. Like what I did was like, I'm going to get as much as I can out of this. And it actually, what it did was like, yeah, it was painful for a few weeks because I'm like not making sales, but I didn't spit the dummy and go, like this guy scammed me. He really helped me understand the importance of systems. And it took me, like, I had to grind it out. Like I had to grind out the process that he gave me. This guy's, his name's Alex Schlinsky, by the way. He's a good dude. And I started in like November, and it wasn't until May or April, or sorry, it was March the next year, I hit my first 8 grand month. And when I started with him, I was like, I don't need a coach. I can learn everything myself. I can read books. And yeah, books are good. Don't get me wrong. Books are good. But sometimes you do need somebody to just go, hey, do this, do this, do this, do this, give you clarity or give you confidence to make decisions. Because I was like hopping niches. I was like, I'm going to do this. Back in the day, everyone wanted to do chiropractic. Everyone was targeting chiropractic. So I was like, I'll target chiropractors. And it was really hard. But he's like, no, like you come from a gym background, you should work with a gym owner, like gym owners. And it actually worked really well. But it was there was a bit of grinding it out, but I hit my first $8,000 month. And I was like, wow, I would not have been able to do this. And I think the month after that, I hit $10,000 per month. This is in, like mid 2019. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've actually done it. I've hit 10 grand a month. Like, it's possible. But it wouldn't have been possible if I was stubborn and just stayed in my, thinking that I knew everything. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. I like get this like image of a person that thinks that they know it all. And like it's probably like an image built up on like sale calls and people being like, nah, I don't need that. Or hearing people that like want to get help through like social media and like seeing comments on people's videos or like comments on posts and being like, oh, why don't you just da 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 da. Like it fumes me up a little bit because like if it wasn't for my mentors, like I owe everything like to you, and my other mentor Jim. Like without you two specifically, I would not be here. Like, and there's sure, maybe I might have figured it out, but maybe in like 5 years from now, because that's how long it would have taken me to like nut out. And then I'm like so stressed of trying to figure all the stuff out that I want.
And that's your life gone.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. And I think people need to change their mindset about how, like, coaches are so expensive. And it's so funny. Do you know who Andy Elliott is? So there was this whole YouTube video on like, Andy Elliott wants me to pay $20,000 for like an hour of his time. And everyone's like,
I think I saw that. Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Why would you pay that? And it's like, all right, first of all, guys, if you get an opportunity, I'm not a major fan of Andy Elliott, but like if I was able to speak to a billionaire, I would spend a lot of money to do that because they're going to give me so much. Like, do you think being a billionaire, they know a thing or two that they can teach you? And like Alex Hormozy, I'm pretty sure he charges like 50 grand an hour or 40 grand an hour.
Mm.
And it's like, you know, do you know what I mean? Like, that's worth it. Like, if you spend an hour with Alex Hormozy, it's worth it. Maybe if that's all the money, like if that's going to put you into debt, no, it's not worth it. But like, there should be a value. Like, there's so much value on paying people who are ahead of you. Like, I always do this. I go, where do I want to be? Who's already where I am? And I literally just go up to them and say, hey, can I have an hour of your time just so you can help me with a couple of things? And they're like, yeah, it'll be like $500 or $1,000. And I go, oh, that's a scam. I'll go, okay, cool. I'll do it. Because like, do you think it's another thing too? I know I'm ranting a bit, but it's actually it's tough love because it's true.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
people ask me, who's your video editor? Like, can you send me a video editor? And I sent you my video editor, but after a few more people sent that to ask me that question, I'm like, you know what? I'm not telling you my video editor because it took me like 5 hours to sort through all these applications to find a good video editor.
Yeah.
Now that's like a small, and you like with your cold callers, you went through like hours of interviewing to find a good cold caller. And then someone asks me, oh, send me a video editor. I go, well, yeah, I can, but like I've spent hours finding that video editor. And so like for you to ask someone like Alex Hormozy, show me how to do business, he'd be like, dude, I've spent 15 years. I've been bankrupt like twice. I'm not saying he's been bankrupt, but it's like I've gone through this journey to get here.
Yeah.
Why should I do that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. That's not like blood, sweat, and tears in the trenches every day, every night, turning down family time is like that is valuable, priceless stuff that you can never ever get back. And for someone to just walk up and be as arrogant to be like, oh, just like give it to me. It's like, bro, like just go over there and like enjoy your job because like I don't care. Like you have, yeah, like there's, you're right, it's tough love, but like if you're not willing to like go into the trenches and put yourself through the work that needs to be done in order for you to become the guy that can do the stuff, then like you're not gonna get anywhere at all.
And the thing is, the key is data, because like with ads, like I remember seeing an ad a while ago and I was like, wow, this is interesting. So I literally booked a call with that guy and I just said, can you show me how to do these types of ads? And he said, yeah, that'll be like 5,000. Sorry, it was like 3,500 USD. And that was like expensive, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And it like was so good. Like, cause I learned so much from that. It was like three or four calls. And from there, like my ads were so much better. And I'd prefer to do that than spend 6 months farting around, like watching YouTube videos. Not saying YouTube's bad, but like just like the information's out there. You've just got to pay the price, whether it's time or money. That's it's as simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I sat down with my media buyer at the time, and we were getting ready for this like launch in January, and I was prepping hard for it, just making sure, you know, wasn't that as perfect, but we're just getting everything ready. And he's like, right, when we get those type of clients, we're going to run ads for them. Example, a painting client, right? In the trade space, we work with tradies. Those, he hadn't really set up any super successful campaigns. So we're like, okay, like what are we going to do? We're going to like pay like someone, like I reach out to you, Henry, and say, how can we figure this out? Do I want to come and pay you, or do I want to just like eat the cost myself and then put my time into it? But that for me, it's like I'm going to either pay and we're going to figure this out together. I mean, with time, or pay someone and figure it out. And like that for me, I was like, I'm going to go pay someone. I'm not going to sit here and smack my head against my laptop trying to figure this out when I can come to someone like you, or there's lots of people that can help with different problems and it's be sorted within a day. But I'm not going to mess around and wait, because ultimately it means I'm going to make less money. So if I'm not taking sales calls, or I'm not doing the things that are important because I'm trying to solve this problem, I'm making less money, and it doesn't make sense for me. Yeah.
All right, man. I completely agree. I'm going to wrap up soon. I'm going to ask a couple of quick questions. What a lot of people ask me is like, what does a day in a life of an agency owner look like? Like, what is like the day in the life of like, what do you do? Like, do you have to get up? Do you have like Saratoga soda water, wipe your face with a banana peel, and then like spend like a 5-hour morning routine? Or what do you do? What do you sleep in? Like, I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, I just sort of do whatever I feel like I need in this like chapter of my life. Like, I went through a really interesting time in the past like couple months personally. So my schedule has sort of been like fitted around working out those things. And like I'm so grateful that I have the flexibility to be like, okay, I'm not going to take calls past 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock, or I'm going to finish at lunchtime because I've got some shit I need to sort out and it's important. And I'm so grateful to be able to do that. So I change, and like right now it's blitz. Like I'm going hard. So I'm waking up early. I'm getting to the gym. I'm doing my stuff. I'm like on a diet at the moment. I'm going hard at the moment. But like, in 3-6 months, I'm probably gonna go to Thailand and do fuck all and just travel and have fun and just enjoy my time and still take calls and stuff. But like, I think that's the beauty of it, is you just choose. You do whatever you want. Like if you need to work, then you work. And if you don't want to work, then you don't need to work. Like as long as you've got your system set up. So yeah, I don't know. I wake up, go to the gym, have some breakfast, start taking calls. But I like this. This is a game for me. So it's fun. I'm like, shit, okay, how can if we made like a couple grand yesterday, how can I make like 4 grand today? And that's fun. Like it's exciting. And then you do it and you're like, holy shit, that was crazy. So yeah, just I surf. So if the surf's good, I'll block out a time and people are trying to call me and I'm like out on the surf. So that's fun. Yeah.
I like that, man. That's cool. Very similar to me, actually. Yeah. I think that's the best thing is like if you decide today you don't want to work, you can do that. Like you can't do that with a job. It's like too bad. Like you can't. Yeah. That's a major thing. All right, let's finish on this question. So if someone was on the fence, right, and they're thinking, and they want to go all in, they want to get the agency set up, but they have that fear, they have that little bit of skepticism, but ultimately they know they can make it. They just need to kind of make that decision. What would you advise that person to do in that kind of situation?
Yeah, I remember one time I did this event, a Tony Robbins event, and he said to go and speak to people at old people's homes to see what their biggest regrets were. And I think there's even a book about it. Some lady or someone wrote a book around regrets or things that they did. And like it is all of the biggest things is inaction, like sitting on a decision. And like you've got to literally look in the mirror and be like, for how long is this problem going to stay in my life? Because I can get rid of it right now or in 10 years. And like you can't be on the fence. You're either in or you're out, and you've got to make a decision sometime. And if not now, then when? Like seriously, ask yourself, when the fuck are you going to do it? Because if you're not going to do it now, then chances are you're probably never going to get around to it. Because the only moment that we've got is right now. You don't have tomorrow. It's not guaranteed. Like you only have right now. And like I think the biggest thing is like worst case scenario, and this was always in my head, worst case scenario, I can get hired in a bar. Like I could walk into a bar in my town and get a job that day. And I'm right back where I started. But I'm not back where I started because I now know how to run a business. And now I know how to run staff. I now know how to market. I now know how to sell. Okay, I'm not where I am, and I'm never going to need to go back anymore because I've got it all sorted. And like, worst comes to worst, you go back to where you are. Like, you could go into debt and you could just risk it all. And unless you're like 60, fucking it's not going to matter at the end of the day. Like in 5 years, you can be sitting around laughing about it. So just go all in. Trust yourself. Have your back. As long as you do what you say you're going to do, then it's going to work. You just got to commit to it.
I love that, dude, because it's like choose a moment of discomfort or choose a period of discomfort to drastically change your trajectory in life. And it feels crap for like 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Until you transition out. But once you're out, you're like, oh my God. I tell you what, because I actually made a very conscious decision because I was like, I'm done where I'm working. And I was very blunt with it. Like, I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to slowly transition out. I was like, I'm finished.
So-
And I literally quit. And then I was like, wait, I don't have money. And then I was like, so that was like 12 months of like not having money, like trying to figure it out. But like when you have to figure it out, you cut all of the crap of stuff you don't need to do. And you're like, what do I actually need to do to get a client this week? Like, what do I have to do? And that builds something in you of like resilience and that like ability to run a business. So even when like in the future, like if times come where the business is tough, you've got that like experience of like, well, let's go back to basics. What do we need to do to get a client? And then you kind of follow that. It's like, and that's the best thing because it means that you have the ability to write your own check. You're not dependent, which I think is the biggest thing. Like you're not dependent on begging for a job. I don't need a job. I'll be able to make my own money, which gives you so much confidence.
Oh yeah.
And so it does feel fearful, and you know it does feel bad, but ultimately you're in a much better spot. Anyway, thank you so much, Jadyn. Really good to chat with you, dude. And thanks, guys, for watching.
Later.